Mimi ni mtangazaji na kutatua mzozo wa ugavi wa fedha ambao utakuwa unaendelea. Bila shaka ni mojawapo ya taarifa ambazo tutakuwa tunakupeperushia matangazo ya moja kwa moja kutoka bunge la Seneti. Lakini kwanza kabisa labda tuangazie kwa kiduchu tu kile ambacho kilikuwa kimejiri, ambapo bunge la Seneti linatarajiwa kukutana asubuhi ya leo kutatua mzozo wa ugavi wa fedha. Kiranja wa wengi katika bunge la Seneti Irungu Kang'ata, hata hivyo, alikuwa amelaumu baadhi ya maseneta kutoka eneo la Rift Valley kwa kile anasema wamelemaza kutatuliwa kwa mzozo huo. Kuna hofu ya kikao hicho kuahirishwa kwa mara nyingine. Hebu tazama.
I have ordered that we reconvene on Thursday.
Kikao cha Jumatatu kitakuwa ni kikao cha 9 sasa kutatua mzozo wa ugavi wa fedha. Kikao hicho kinajiri wakati kumetokea na madai ya vitisho miongoni mwa maseneta. Kiranja wa wengi katika bunge la Seneti Irungu Kang'ata amewakashifu maseneta kutoka eneo la Rift Valley kwa kile ametaja kama kuhujumu juhudi za serikali katika mfumo unaopendekezwa. Kang'ata akisema kuwa kuna njama fiche katika mzozo unaoshuhudiwa wa kutatua ugavi wa fedha. Serikali inadaiwa kutupia jicho mzozo huo wa ugavi wa fedha na kutaka utatuliwe mara moja. Na hata maseneta wanapokutana siku ya Jumatatu, bado kuna hofu ya kikao hicho kuahirishwa tena, huku serikali ikihofia kupoteza kura katika kikao hicho. Katika kikao cha Jumatatu, pendekezo la seneta wa Meru Mithika Linturi na seneta maalum Petronila Were yatajadiliwa. Iwapo mfumo unaopendekezwa na Linturi utapita, kaunti ya Mandera itapoteza zaidi ya kitita cha shilingi milioni 244, huku kaunti za Kwale, Wajir, Marsabit, Kilifi na Mandera wakitarajiwa kupoteza kati ya shilingi milioni 177 na milioni 135. Kaunti zingine ambazo zitaathirika ni pamoja na Narok, Makueni, Nyamira, Tana River na Vihiga. Linturi anapendekeza shilingi bilioni 270 zitagawiwa kaunti kwa kutumia mfumo wa pili, huku shilingi bilioni 46.5 kwa kutumika kupitia mfumo tata wa tatu. Aidha, Spika Lusaka anasema kuwa ana uhakika wa kutatua mzozo huo katika kikao cha Jumatatu.
Let me tell you, if there's anybody who wants this business concluded, it's myself. You know, remember we are even on recess, and our recess has even been interfered with.
Kikao cha Jumatatu kitafanyika mwendo wa saa 4 asubuhi. Paul Kirobi, Runinga ya TV47.
Na bila shaka mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo muda wote kuanzia sasa tutakuwa tunavuka katika bunge la Seneti, ambapo tutakuwa tunakufahamisha kinachojiri, kisha mida za saa 1 na saa 3 mtawalia tutakuwa tunakupa taarifa tendeti. Wakati huo huo, magavana wangali wanalalamikia kucheleweshwa kwa fedha za kaunti kutokana na mzozo ugavi wa fedha, huku mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana Wycliffe Oparanya akisema huduma nyingi za kaunti zimekwama. Aidha, Oparanya kadhalika ameunga mkono pendekezo la kutaka kaunti ziongezewe mgao wa fedha kama anavyopendekeza seneta maalum Petronila Were.
And we can use the old formula so long as we wait for the money, the 348. If it comes midway, it will require furthermore supplementary at the national level. But what is important that we need the money to be able to provide services and be able also to pay salaries. So budget-wise, we get just 10%. Yeah. And we are not allowed to borrow, while national government is free to borrow. But when we repay, even us, we repay. Yeah. Repayment is for everybody, but borrowing is for a particular level of government. I think that's unfair. We have been told that now borrowing framework has been agreed, but we have not been advised at the county level. Mmeshiba kabisa. Hey.
Na bila shaka mtazamaji, naarifiwa kwamba tayari bunge la Seneti limeanza vikao vyake kujadili utata wa mgao wa fedha ambao umezidi kuzua mzozo baina ya maseneta. Na kwa sasa tutavuka moja kwa moja, unapotazama pale kwenye runinga yako tayari vikao vyenyewe vimeshaanza. Namuona pale spika wa bunge Seneti Ken Lusaka tayari ameshafika kwenye kamati hiyo, ambapo itakuwa inajadili kuhusiana na mgao wa fedha. Kumbuka hili ni kikao cha 10 kama sijakosea, ambapo atakuwa anajadili mzozo ugavi wa fedha. Hebu tuvuke moja kwa moja tusikize kile ambacho kinaendelea.
the Senate of 2020, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, moved a motion pursuant to Standing Order 105 to adjourn debate on the motion by the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. The adjournment motion was carried, thereby adjourning debate on the motion by the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget to allow for consensus building on the third basis for allocating among the county governments the share of national revenue that is annually allocated to the county level of government. On Tuesday, 11th August 2020, the Senate resumed debate on the amendment by Senator Sakaja to the motion by the committee. In the course of the debate on Senator Sakaja's amendment and pursuant to Standing Order 62(9), the Senator for Meru, Senator Mitika Linturi, moved an amendment to the amendment by Senator Sakaja. The amendment by Senator Sakaja, as further amended by Senator Linturi, was debated, voted on, and agreed to. Thereafter, the Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 62(11), proposed the question on the motion of the Finance and Budget Committee as amended. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Orders 58(1) and 62(8), the effect of the approval of the amendment by Senator Sakaja, as amended by Senator Linturi, is that the following proposed amendments notice had been given automatically, lapsed, and were dropped from further consideration by the Senate. There's no seat. Guide him quickly. Is there a seat? Eh? Take your seat, Senator. The proposed amendment to an amendment by Senator Kimani Wamatangi, which had sought to amend the amendment proposed by Senator Sakaja. The proposed amendment by Senator Mutua Kilonzo Jr. to the motion by the chairperson of Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, and the proposed amendment to an amendment by Senator for Kiambu, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, which had sought to amend the amendment proposed by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. You will observe that none of those amendments is on the order paper for today. Upon the question on the motion of the committee as amended by Senator Sakaja and Senator Linturi, being proposed as required by Standing Order 68(11), Senator Petronila Were Lokorio moved an amendment to the motion. Her amendment was seconded, and thereafter the question was proposed. Honorable Senators, you will recall that at the rise of the House on Tuesday, 11th August 2020, debate on the amendment by Senator Lokorio was underway. That is therefore where we resume our business this morning. Indeed, as can be seen in order number 2 of the order paper, the motion before the House is the motion of the committee as already amended by Senator Sakaja and Senator Linturi. This is the motion that Senator Lokorio is seeking to amend. Honorable Senators, going forward, I wish to give the following guidance. 1, debate on the motion at order number 2 in today's order paper shall be considered and disposed of in accordance with inter Standing Order 61 to 68, Part 17, Rules of Debate, and Part 19, Order in the Senate and in committees. At the conclusion of the debate on the amendment by Senator Lokorio, I will put the question in the same terms and as had been proposed. If amendment is carried, I will then propose the question again on the motion as further amended. If, on the other hand, the question on Senator Lokorio's amendment is negatived, the Senate will resume debate on the original motion as amended by Senator Sakaja and Senator Linturi as it's appearing in order paper. After disposing of the amendment by Senator Lokorio, we shall move on to other amendments that are set out in order paper, and upon disposing of all the amendments, including amendments to the amendment, if any, and pursuant to Standing Order 67 and 68, I shall finally put the question on the motion as it appears in order number 2, or as shall have been amended, as the case may be. As directed in the last sitting of the Senate, for fairness and to utilize our time efficiently, the movers of amendments will be restricted to 10 minutes in moving the amendments, while all other senators will have a maximum of 5 minutes each in contributing to motions on amendments. The speaking time on debate on substantive motion remains as provided for under Standing Order 104 or 106.4, which is not more than 20 minutes, except for the mover when moving and replying, and the majority and minority leaders. Honorable Senators, in conclusion, I call upon each one of us to exercise restraint and engage in a sober and calm debate as we seek to find the best basis for allocating among the county governments the share of national revenue that will be allocated to the county levels of government. I thank you. Senator Cherargei.
Speaker. Speaker, I rise on a Standing Order 105 and Standing Order 60H to beg that the House be moved to enable senators to discuss an issue of urgency and national importance, considering that 3 of our colleagues, one, Senator Lilekwe, is on his way to Maralal being arrested. Senator Langat of Bomet is threatened to be arrested, and Senator Cleophas Malala of Kakamega County is also being threatened to be arrested. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg that the House be adjourned based on Standing Order number 105 and number 60H, and therefore I request Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. to second. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo.
Speaker, thank you. In 2016, Mr. Speaker, we were debating a very contentious bill, the Election Laws Amendment Bill. On our way to this Senate, Mr. Speaker, we alighted at the roundabout and parked our cars as far back as the church. The police had barricaded Parliament. I can't recall, but I think it was Senator Orengo who requested Speaker Ethuro to make a ruling. Mr. Speaker, your predecessor, Speaker Ethuro, adjourned the special sitting for 1 hour and ordered the then IG to order the police to leave Parliament Road. We did not proceed until they left. Mr. Speaker, it is very strange, Mr. Speaker, that our colleagues, Senator Malala was in Kakamega yesterday. He conducted a public function, traveled for this special sitting. At 1 a.m., at 3 a.m., police were outside his door blocking his gate, blocking a GK vehicle. And they're still there up to now. Lelegwe was being looked for yesterday, Mr. Speaker, arrested this morning on his way to the Senate. The Senator of Bomet, Mr. Speaker, is under siege. The police, Mr. Speaker, have parked outside his gate. The policemen have turned the residences of the senators of this House into a parking lot. Mr. Speaker, it is not feasible that you can lead a House where your senators are under siege. If a senator is being arrested, there is no reason why a policeman would go and just lay about at their gate, Mr. Speaker. It's painful, Mr. Speaker. The people who, and the reason why we have a special sitting and the reason why we are here in Article 123, Mr. Speaker, is that whoever has numbers will carry the day. We did not object to the formula, and neither did we carry guns into the Senate. Nobody was going to win by force. Mr. Speaker, this matter has upset me so much that I went into my archives and retrieved a magazine. It's called the Economic Review. This Economic Review, Mr. Speaker, is of June 23rd, 1997. It has a picture of the former President Moi seated where you're seated when the proceeding of the budget was going on. What happened on that day? Mr. Speaker, the minority leader of the Senate, Senator Orengo, did something very unusual. He sought for an adjournment of the budget. This gentleman seated here, who I respect so much and calls me his son.
Senator Mtula, let me just give some guidance. Allow the order to be called, then we resume debate, then you continue. Clerk. The order to, you were seconding, yes, it was seconding, but I'm saying we know we have not resumed the debate. So I just want the order to be called out, then I allow you to continue, just for procedure. The clerk, yeah.
Order number 2, motion, approval of the third basis for revenue allocation among the county governments.
Okay, Senator Mtula. Yeah.
Speaker, the reason I retrieved this magazine is because the Speaker then, Kaparo, allowed Senator Orengo to move an adjournment of a budget reading which was being read by the then Minister for Finance, Musalia Mudavadi. It was not procedural that a budget could be adjourned, but in this magazine, Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo was heard in silence. What was he asking, Mr. Speaker? He was saying, we can't have a budget unless we have constitutional reform. Mr. Speaker, although Senator Orengo did not succeed on that day on the adjournment, this country has changed and we have a new constitution. Mr. Speaker, we will not proceed today unless we have those 3 senators. If we have to sit on this table, we will sit on it. Because, Mr. Speaker, I am in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, I was elected in this Senate because one person who was a member of this Senate was found dead on his bed, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, my dad. And if it's not Malala, and if it's not Lelegwe, it's going to be me or you. The former President Moi, may his soul rest in peace, as the President of the Republic, allowed Senator Orengo to tell him on his face that he was misleading the country. We must tell the President Uhuru Kenyatta that we will not allow. This sort of thing cannot happen in Kenya. In 2020, Mr. Speaker, we are calling upon you to adjourn this House. Tell the IG we need the senators here. Unless those senators have committed treason, which is not bailable. Mr. Speaker, those senators should be here to conduct their business. I have represented Senator Haniri. Yes, I represented Senator Haniri when he was an assistant minister. When I was a young man, he was released on his own personal cognizance as an assistant minister. Even if there was an offense committed, those gentlemen can come here and we will represent them in court. But if my good friend calls me my father, Senator Orengo, who is here, and Fogisio, who allowed this special sitting, is going to allow this sort of thing to continue, Mr. Speaker, there is no reason why we are a legislature. We should call ourselves members of county assemblies. It is extremely upsetting, Mr. Speaker, that senators have to hide. People have to switch off their phones so that you are not traced by the police. When did this become a police state? When Senator of Nairobi, Sakaja, we raised a concern here. I know Senator Kangata had an issue about what happened to him. But this is exactly what we are saying. That when one member of this House is in trouble, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter what agenda it is, It doesn't matter who is winning. What matters, Mr. Speaker, is that we are together in this house to do the business of this country. Nobody is doing his personal business here. Mr. Speaker, I second this motion that we adjourn this business until we get confirmation. Mr. Speaker, who knows? While we are conducting this business, what is happening to Senator Lelegwe? He could be found in Ngong Forest. They could inject him with something and kill him slowly. I have seen the pain of death. I have smelt death. I have seen what happens when somebody gives you poison. You bleed and bleed so much, like my father did. May not happen to another person, because we are not conducting personal business of any person. I support. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question, which is that the debate be now adjourned. Senator Khaniri.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this motion in the strongest terms possible. Mr. Speaker, we cannot sit here and continue with debate on the formula for revenue allocation when three of our colleagues are under arrest and we do not know why they are under arrest. It is not a coincidence, Mr. Speaker, that all the three are members of Team Kenya, and I hope you understand what I mean by Team Kenya. It is not a coincidence. Mr. Speaker, what is happening in Kenya today is unfortunate, it is sad, it is most absurd. We must condemn this in the strongest terms possible. Mr. Speaker, what we are witnessing is what used to happen in the years ago when some of us were younger. And I remember, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Wuta? You are not on mic. Okay, you're okay.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity, but I wanted to ask the Senator Haniri of Vihiga, if you are all here as a Senate of the Republic of Kenya, is Senator in order to call other senators Team Kenya?
Mr. Speaker, you will agree with me that that is frivolous. It's not a point of order, but it's for you to rule. It's not me. That is a frivolous point of order, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Senator knows exactly what I'm talking about, but I leave it to you to rule, Mr. Speaker, whether it's a point of order or not.
Maybe use terminologies that are familiar to all members. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, Team Kenya is a team of senators who have come together to ensure that there is equity in distribution of resources or the funds that go to the counties, and that the senators who are opposing strongly the formula that has been brought forth by the Committee on Finance, if you didn't know. Mr. Speaker, I was saying that what we were witnessing today is what used to happen many years ago. And I want to remind the government of the day that there are Kenyans who fought with their blood and sweat to ensure that there is democratic space in this country and there's a freedom of expression. Mr. Speaker, my senior James Orengo here, Senator for Siaya, was among those Kenyans. I'm sure it will pain those Kenyans who fought with their blood and sweat to ensure that we enjoy the liberties that we enjoy at the moment, to see what is happening. My friend James Orengo, I hope you will stand with us to ensure that we adjourn this House until our colleagues are produced and are here to participate in the debate. Mr. Speaker, as senators, we must stand with our colleagues, Senator Malala, Senator Lelegwe, and Senator Langat. Because today, it is them, tomorrow, it may be you. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the government of the day that no amount of intimidation will make some of us change our stand on this matter. In fact, what they are doing is making our resolve even more stronger. A better way to convince some of us. We are not going to relent. We will remain firm to ensure that there is equity in this country. We demand for the release of the 3 senators who have been arrested, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I see there's a lot of interest, so let's spend 5 minutes each. Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support this motion of adjournment. Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago, when I raised concerns about my own security, I think members didn't take it seriously, especially the leadership. Mr. Speaker, this morning, I have seen the exact same vehicle that I said had been trailing me, the Isuzu D-Max, outside Senator Langat's house. The exact same vehicle, with the same officers. Mr. Speaker, I don't know why today they didn't look for me. Maybe it's because I preempted it in the last sitting. But, Mr. Speaker, this is extremely serious. Before we adjourned last time, Mr. Speaker, I had said that indeed Article 1 provides that the sovereignty of this country, of the people, is expressed directly or through their representatives. The work we do in this House, Mr. Speaker, is so sacrosanct in our constitutional makeup that, Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow Parliament to be desecrated. Mr. Speaker, this is one of those occasions where I would expect Senator Pogisio and Senator Orengo, no matter how you look at this matter before us, to say for the sake of what the Senate is, or what Parliament is, no matter which side of the coin you're looking at this debate, Mr. Speaker, that we must uphold and we must defend this institution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know that wherever Senator Malala is, wherever Senator Langat is, wherever Senator Lelegwe is, the intention of the arrest is clear and it is obvious to everybody. Mr. Speaker, throughout this weekend, if you ask even the members who are supporting the amendments we brought, and I told them that throughout this weekend what I was working on and what we were working on was a unanimous vote of the Senate, that indeed we could be able to agree on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I have sat and I have looked at the eye. I have faced my tormentors. I have looked at them in the eye. And they have realized that we are splitting hairs about nothing. That indeed we are going to agree. Of course, Mr. Speaker, some unsavory statements made by one of our colleagues scattered the process during the weekend. But, Mr. Speaker, we cannot lose our country. We cannot lose our country, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow people to live in fear. Mr. Speaker, I stopped switching off my phone. It is on. I told them, wherever you are, come and get me. Arrest cannot... Mr. Speaker, there's nothing as bad as a leader who's a coward. I said, come and get me wherever you are. Let me face the law, whatever it is. But, Mr. Speaker, the sovereignty of 4.3 million Nairobians who elected me in this House by 1 million votes is more important than my own convenience. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues here. I want to urge senators, no matter how you voted, no matter how you look at this matter, we must stand united. Senator Kangata, you're the whip of the majority, the entire majority. Senator Pogisio, you're the leader of the majority, the entire majority. Senator Orengo, you're the leader. Mr. Speaker, you're the speaker of this entire House. I know we've said things over the weekend. I will not repeat on through this mic. But, Mr. Speaker, all of us are yours. I urge you, Mr. Speaker, because the standing order says until a future occasion, that this morning sitting, Mr. Speaker, be adjourned until those members are produced in this house. And from the authority of your chair, Mr. Speaker, you can even summon the IG to appear here before us now and explain to us, why would you go at 3 a.m. to Senator Malala's house? Is he a witch? Is he a wizard? Is he a night runner? He's a senator of a county called Kakamega. Why would you go at midnight to Senator Langat's house in Nyayo Embakasi, where they've even arrested some of the young people I know from there because they went to protest that injustice? Right now, 10 of them are in a cell in Embakasi, Mr. Speaker. Those are young people I know. So I want to urge colleagues, let us not look at this through the prism of politics. Mr. Speaker, before this has happened, we have said very well that, Mr. Speaker, this is not about 2022 politics. It is not about who you support for presidency. I support President Uhuru Kenyatta. Those who are doing this, Mr. Speaker, I choose to believe are not doing it with his instructions. President Kenyatta, you're listening to me, I know. Instruct your officers.
Senator Chilayako. Order, Senator. Which one?
Mr. Speaker, the sentence I was finishing was just an appeal to His Excellency not to allow overzealous officers to taint his legacy. His legacy is not of clamping down democracy. He is a Democrat, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Chilayako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I came this morning to attend a special sitting, and I actually came thinking that we would do justice to this formula that has preoccupied ourselves, that has preoccupied the minds of senators and the minds of Kenyans, and it has many anxieties. Now, Mr. Speaker, yesterday I spent a lot of my time praying at home and praying that we would find a solution today. Now, Mr. Speaker, it does appear that this issue, as urgent as it is, has many pitfalls. It has many challenges. It has many difficulties. I have enormous sympathy for any colleague in difficulty. I have been through such difficulties myself, and I am a product of liberation of this country. I have not written my story as yet because there is a distance to travel, and I hope I will continue traveling that distance. When I was in the university many years ago, I fought for the return of SONU. Those young senators who are here, like Murkomen, may not have been there, but SONU had been banned. And I was among the people who were fighting for it so that it would represent us at the university, and eventually I became a student leader. Mr. Speaker, a lot of things have happened, but really when I was looking at our social media page, our WhatsApp, I noticed that there was a tension. Many members, and including a member I respect, called me fakeless, meaning that I was a person who was unreliable, a person who could not stand on his own. Now, Mr. Speaker, having said that I have sympathy for those of us who are in difficulty, I really do not know what should happen today. The reason I'm stating that, my learned friend, Senator Mutula Jr., has indicated that your predecessor, Senator Ethuro, had ordered that police officers leave the precincts of Parliament. I do not know, and I will be guided by those who will be speaking, whether you assist of authority to order IG, if indeed it is true that he has locked a few senators or is acting on that, to stop doing that, because those may be orders that are away from the precincts of Parliament. If I look at the context in which Senator Ethuro, your predecessor speaker, ordered the removal of those issues, I think it was within the precincts of Parliament where you exercise an legal authority only limited by the Constitution. But as we continue debating, I do not know what order you will be able to issue.
Senator Chariot, what's your point of order? Your mic. Give him the mic. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hate to interrupt my good friend and colleague, Senator Dr. Ochila, to inform him that those officers that Speaker Ethuro ordered out of the precincts of Parliament had cordoned off this House from the roundabout just before the gate entering National Assembly and the roundabout before Intercontinental. So it was not inside of Parliament, just for his information.
Well, I thought...
Senator Kindiki Kidure, what's your point of intervention?
Mr. Speaker, just to add on that, because Senator Ochilo is asking what powers would the Speaker or the Senate have outside the President of Parliament, no member may be arrested while proceeding or getting out of Parliament or a committee of Parliament. That is the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I hope my time had been frozen so that I would be able to make my point. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is a very emotive issue, and this is an issue that we must debate soberly and not sensationalize it. Mr. Speaker, I was making the point that my understanding of the context within which your predecessor made his determination was that it was amounting to an occurrence within the precincts of Parliament or within proximity to the precincts of Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, having said that, I have also listened to remarks here that are pointing an accusing finger at the President. Probably there will be remarks after I've sat down pointing accusing fingers at many other entities that may not be the subject matter of the request for adjournment or the sharing.
What's your point of intervention, Senator Mazayo?
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, je, ni usawa ya kwamba ndugu yetu Seneta Achilo Ayako anasema kuna mtu yoyote ambaye amemtaja rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa ubaya wowote? Hapa nilivyosikia mimi ni kwamba hakuna seneta hata mmoja hapa ambaye amemtaja rais kwa njia mbaya, bali kusema ya kwamba tafadhali rais, ikiwa serikali yako hii ama regime yako hii ambayo unataka kuacha legacy inafanya mambo namna hii, kushika watu watatu, Seneta Malala, Seneta Lelegwe na Seneta Dr. Lagat, ni usawa kwamba maseneta watatu wanaweza kushikwa usiku wa kulalia mjadala ambao unahusika kama huu? Hakuna mtu ametukana rais hapa. Je, ni haki yeye Achilo Ayako kusema kwamba kuna mtu ametukana ama kuna seneta yoyote hapa ameweza kumtukana rais? Mimi sikusikia hiyo.
Senator Oyako.
Mr. Speaker, I noticed that all of these so-called points of orders are just other or alternative facts from the facts that I'm presenting. Now, Mr. Speaker, I am speaking with a lot of humility and understanding about what is alleged to be happening to my colleagues. I'm not seized of the facts. I came here to debate a motion on the formula. These facts or these allegations are presented here, and it is important as we debate this very emotive issue, we also do not perhaps mislead ourselves, because I am not seized of the facts. In fact, as I was talking to one of my unnamed colleagues here, I also got information that a few of our colleagues, because this thing has become very divisive,
You are off the mic, eh? Okay, your time is up. Senator Kipchumba Murkomen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the year was 1642, on 4th of January, when King Charles entered the House of Commons, supported by 400 armed men, in an attempt to seize 5 members who were accused of treason. The Speaker who was presiding over the House of Commons was one Lenthal. And when Sir Charles, Mr. Speaker, asked Lenthal where the 5 members, this was the response. Mr. Speaker, he responded, "I have neither eyes to see nor tongue to speak in this place, but as this House is pleased to direct me." And Mr. Speaker quotes that became the first Speaker in England to declare allegiance, the Speaker, to the liberty of Parliament instead of the King. Mr. Speaker, Parliament is at crossroads. It has nothing to do with the money. It has absolutely nothing to do with division of or county allocation of revenue formula. Mr. Speaker, the motion moved by Senator Cherargei is bigger and larger, Mr. Speaker, than basis for allocation of revenue. I must, Mr. Speaker, say on the floor of this House, I am the first person to defend the right of my brother and my friend, Senator Cherargei, to prosecute, Mr. Speaker, his agenda opposite the one I prosecute in this House. He has a right and constitutional right. The same to Senator Susan Kihika. The same to Senator James Orengo. But this morning, Mr. Speaker, that is not what we are facing as a Senate. We are facing an assault on the constitutional order of this republic. Mr. Speaker, the integrity and the independence of Parliament is, Mr. Speaker, on trial. Mr. Speaker, it is your choice this morning whether, Mr. Speaker, you are going to be subservient, Mr. Speaker, to the authorities that want to undermine the powers and, Mr. Speaker, the constitutional authority of this House, or you will be like Speaker William Lenthal, Mr. Speaker, rule, Mr. Speaker, that this integrity of this House must be protected. Let me confess something, Mr. Speaker, which I have always confessed to Senator James Orengo. And he knows, and he can go on record. Some of us came to study law and admire politics because of people like Senator James Orengo. And I've told Senator James Orengo over and over again, Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt in my mind that if Senator Orengo is told to choose between a forced process, Mr. Speaker, that puts our friends in danger, and, Mr. Speaker, the question of protecting the integrity of this House, the choice is obvious. And that choice is in this motion. Because, Mr. Speaker, I didn't sleep last night. Myself and Senator Cheruiyot, plus other members of National Assembly, camped outside the house of Senator Langat. Mr. Speaker, media reports are there. Senator Langat his house is being surrounded by over 20 police officers. At 3 in the morning, Senator Malala called me, and I updated immediately on my Twitter. Mr. Speaker, Senator Malala's house, Mr. Speaker, is being surrounded by 4 DCI vehicles and over 20 police officers. Senator Lelekwe, on his way to these chambers of this House, was arrested, Mr. Speaker, on Riverside. I am shocked. I am shocked that Senator George Achilo Ayako, Mr. Speaker, would even contemplate to say he has no facts when those are 3 close senators, one of them deputy minority leader in this House. Can he call, Mr. Speaker, and confirm if these facts are on this, Mr. Speaker, true?
Okay, Senator Achilo Ayako, what's your intervention? There's a point of order.
Now, Mr. Speaker, you have heard my friend Senator Murkomen mention my name. Now, Mr. Speaker...
Take your seat, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, the facts of a person's arrest must be in police records, must be in OB. Is it in order for him? Because I came here...
Order.
Mr. Speaker, can I be heard?
Order,
Can
Senators.
I be heard?
You may not agree with what he's saying, but give me an opportunity to say what
I did not mean
he's
to
saying.
interrupt Senator Murkomen, but the fact that he mentioned my name, I left my house and came here. And Mr. Speaker, I have no information, I have no OB information, and I know that there could be truth and there could be untruth. Is it in order for Senator Murkomen to blame me for not knowing when I have no facts? I'm a person of facts and facts alone, like Josiah Bonda by...
Senator...
Mr. Speaker, 2 things. One, I'd like to ask my friend Senator Achilo Ayako to go look for a mirror behind your seat, Mr. Speaker, at the bathroom, and see himself if he's still that Sonu crusader for liberty, Mr. Speaker, that he spoke about. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, we are honorable senators in this House. We don't lie. We can move a motion on basis of lies. We cannot mislead this House. These facts were brought before the Speaker. These facts are known, they are incontrovertible. Mr. Speaker, let us not belittle this debate. Let us contextualize this debate for what it is. It is about an assault on, Mr. Speaker, parliamentary democracy, Mr. Speaker, and, Mr. Speaker, about the freedoms of this House. Let me concentrate on, Mr. Speaker, concluding by saying this. This Senate this morning is not being asked to adjourn so that you can assist this side or the other on the question on the basis of allocation of revenue. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I have refused, as a matter of fact, to go or prosecute my position on the question of voting for resources, because my position is not superior to those who are on the other side. It's a question of when you vote, the other side, which has the numbers, can pass. But, Mr. Speaker, to arrest 3 senators, to make it impossible for them to come and make their decision, to subvert the, Mr. Speaker, sovereign right of the people of Kenya under Article 1 of the Constitution, that was donated to Senator Malala, Senator Langat, Senator Lelekwe, to come and exercise on the floor of this House. And for any colleague in this House to support that process, Mr. Speaker, it will be a pity. It will be, Mr. Speaker, the worst day in the Republic of Kenya. I call upon my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to look at themselves and look at the situation we are going through this morning. Senator Orengo told me on the floor of this House, with Senator Sang and Senator Aaron Cheriot, we were sitting here, said, Mr. Speaker, that revolution hits its own children. That, Mr. Speaker, this House, that, Mr. Speaker, this government was going to be worse to us than, Mr. Speaker, them that were in the opposition then. Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo now sits in a more privileged position than me. He has, Mr. Speaker, the ear of the president on the government. Mr. Speaker, I want to look at Senator Orengo on the face. Mr. Speaker, it has devoured me, Mr. Orengo. Now it will come for you.
Okay.
To apply, it's the time for Senator Orengo to, Mr. Speaker, remember, I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker, to remember his words to me, that yes, that revolution devoured me. Yes, it drew me to the backbench. Yes, Mr. Speaker, our rights have been violated. Okay. It is your turn, Senator Orengo, sitting in position of power, to say no to the subversion of those rights, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator James Orengo. Yeah, you have.
Now,
What's your point of order, Senator Ledama?
Okay. I have a lot of respect for my brother Moses Kajwang, but we are joking. You know, this corona is real. So I want to just request, my dear good brother, okay, please go look for a seat somewhere else.
Okay.
Corona,
Senator Kajwang observes social distancing. Senator Nyamunga, what's your point of intervention?
Mr. Speaker, in my view, I think maybe I know it is your discussion, but it would be good for us, for you to give us time so that we make our points, and then you get the leaders to take a back seat a bit, so that we are also heard, Mr. Speaker, because whatever they say may influence what we have to say.
Okay. Is that okay with the leaders? Okay, because I can see they have also, they want to speak. Okay. Okay. Senator Mohamud.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, this is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. A few days ago, I tweeted that this Senate is under siege. I also tweeted that we are actually at crossroads. So, Speaker, sir, I want to challenge the leadership, both my good friend, the Senator for West Pokot, Senator Bugusho, and Senator Orengo of Kisiaya, to take leadership in this House and fight for the right of this House. So, Speaker, sir, as the Speaker of this Senate, you are today in a very, very serious position. This House is on trial, and you, as a mediator and a bit of this House, has a role to play. So, Speaker, sir, we cannot allow the democracy that this country has fought for to be clawed back. Kenyans fought for a constitution, a very liberal constitution, with a very, very liberal Bill of Rights, and now it's being clawed back. We cannot turn Kenya into a police state. It's very unfortunate. So, Speaker, sir, last night, in fact, opening the Langa's house, a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my constituents live there. In fact, the whole estate was awake last night. It was very shameful. The police were there as if they are arresting an Al-Shabaab guy. Dr. Langat is a senator, a distinguished senator of Kenya from Bomet. He cannot be, see in that manner. So, Speaker, sir, Senator Malala tweeted last night that his house has been condoned by police. It's very unfortunate. This morning, Senator Legwe, we talked to him and he said he was on his way to Senate and he was arrested. All this is being done because of the agenda that is before the House this time. This is intimidation. We are here to do our job at the Senate. The Senate of the Republic of Kenya is the only institution mandated to discuss division of, discuss shareable revenue between counties.
Let's consult in low tones.
Article 217(1). We are the ones who are mandated. No outsider, whatever position he has, can dictate. So, Speaker, sir, this House is being now used so that we can be intimidated, so that we don't go the wrong way. I assure you, there's no other person outside this Senate who has the mandate to discuss that matter. But what is being done now is to deny numbers. This will not work, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, it will not work. And this Senate should not succumb to the machinations of a state which is going to use police to actually intimidate its parliament. Parliament is an equal organ of government as the executive. We cannot allow to be intimidated. So, Speaker, sir, I want to support the motion that unless our colleagues are produced in this House and the RG be brought here in the Committee of the House, this Senate should not debate even the issue of revenue collection, revenue allocation. We don't want revenue for anything. We don't want it. We want freedom.
Order, Senators.
Freedom.
Let's consult in low tones.
Freedom is what we want.
Order, Senator Kangata.
So that, the three arms of government function independently. The executive has a job to do. Parliament must do its job. Judiciary be allowed to do. And this, if we continue this way, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are going to back. In fact, we are feeling with nostalgia for the Moi era. We used to say Moi was the dictator. He is not. We are having problems here now. We expect this government to come to its senses so that, this is what's happening. The police should stop intimidating senators. And I urge my colleagues, this is not a matter of this side or that side. It's a matter for all of us. Let's protect ourselves, protect our dignity, and protect the dignity of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those many remarks, I beg to support.
Senator Mogeni from the other chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I first want to go on record as supporting this motion for adjournment. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very sad day in the history of this Senate, Mr. Speaker. It's not by coincidence, Mr. Speaker, that we have woken up to a day when 3 of our colleagues are being arrested on a day that we were meant to have a very important debate. And I want Senator Ochilo to listen to me, because I've heard him raising doubts as to whether some senators have been arrested. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I received a distress call from Senator Lelegwe, and he informed me that CID officers had been sent from Samburu to arrest him. And Mr. Speaker, I spoke to the lead CID officer, Mr. Ongeri, who I know well from Keumbu, and we agreed, Mr. Speaker, that I was going to present Senator Lelegwe at CID headquarters today at noon, Mr. Speaker. But what shocked me, Mr. Speaker, and I want you to listen, my colleague, Senator Ochilo, I know you may have ambitions, you may want to be a governor tomorrow, you may even have dreams that you'll be an attorney general in this country, you may have ambitions that you'll be a minister one day. But if you let what's happening to your colleagues today pass, your day will also come. Record this day here. I was not in this house when my colleague Senator Orengo was speaking to Senator Murkomen and Senator Sang. And I remember him calling Senator Mugo, Nyaugenya, revolutions eat their own children. It has come to pass. Today, it is Murkomen and the Hilk who are on the receiving end. My brother, whether you'll be a governor, whether you'll be an attorney general, whether you'll be a minister, the way this government is behaving today, it will come after you. I want you to seize this opportunity and be on the right side of history. We were students with you at the University of Nairobi. You were a student leader ahead of me. I took the seat of student leadership from you, and you know what we stood for when we were students at the University of Nairobi. And I want, Mr. Speaker, to state that I have spoken with my colleague, Senator Lelegwe, who has informed me that he has been sandwiched by police officers. They have blindfolded him. He cannot even tell me where he's being taken to. As we sit here to debate, this is not usual. These are very unusual times, Mr. Speaker. And I want us to adjourn here, and I'm appealing to all lawyers in this House. We must go and search for our colleagues and demand that they be brought to this House, Mr. Speaker. And I want to state, Mr. Speaker, I will not fear a government that takes bodies. I only fear God who can take my soul. I'm here to state that I will fight for justice, I will fight for the rule of law, I will fight to defend the Constitution of this Republic of Kenya. As son of Gekaro Mogeni and Milka Nyamukami, son of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they are great people. They are great sons of Nyamira who have been ahead of me. George Anyona used to be in this House, in this Parliament, and they fought for justice, Mr. Speaker. I hail from the clan where Mr. Obocha came from. One time in 1992, he spoke before the president, and he told the president that he
only respects the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And I'm here to state, Mr. Speaker, whether the government wants it or not, I've been sent by the people of Nyamira to come here and defend my duty under Article 217 of the Constitution. If I'm alive, my soul, my blood, all my organs will fight to defend the Constitution of Kenya. And I'm telling you, I'm a senior counsel in this House, Mr. Speaker. I'll go to all courts, whether they take Lelewe to Mandera, whether they take him to Samburu, whether they take him to Lord, wherever he will be taken, I will be there as his advocate, Mr. Speaker. And we want justice, Mr. Speaker. What is this, Mr. Speaker? We are talking on a day when this government is telling us that over 43 billion shillings have been stolen from COVID money. And police officers are in the houses of senators just to subvert their constitutional right of coming here to do what they were elected to do. Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo knows. Senator Orengo knows. When the police officers went for the Chief Justice of this Republic, I called my colleague Senator Orengo to appear with me at CID offices on Kiambu Road, not for any cause, but to defend the cause of justice and the rule of law. I want to affirm
Oh, okay. Okay, Senator Mogeni. Senator, okay, your time is up. Your time is up, Senator. Senator Kangata.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the motion of adjournment. Mr. Speaker, sir, I agree that every parliamentarian is entitled to his freedom of choice. Mr. Speaker, sir, the only issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, personally, I strongly believe the government cannot arrest any member of parliament, any senator, on the basis of his work as a parliamentarian. Mr. Speaker, sir, and therefore, I would be urging our colleagues, once we break, we take time to discuss this issue objectively, kindly, so that we settle this issue once and for all, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I say that for this reason. I support the adjournment 100%. Mr. Speaker, I have seen a situation where that which made us to take certain position, we have now gone the very direct opposite. Those who do not want resources to be taken away from them, they are now taking the position they want resources to be taken away from them. Those originally were on the opposite side have now shifted the other side. We are no longer debating county revenue sharing formula at all. We are now in the realm of politics. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why I'm supporting this adjournment is, number one, it is true, we need to think about our colleagues. I support that. Number two, I also urge our colleagues, that interim period, please, we become sober. We ask ourselves, how come we have now changed position? How come we are no longer looking at issues objectively? We are now looking things from a political point of view. Please, honorable senators, once we take this break, which I support, please let us be objective. Let us remember our first principles. Thank you.
Order. Senator Susan Kihika.
No lady, a lady, at least a lady.
Thank you,
A
Mr.
Order, senators.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this motion and believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, that there is better ways to achieve whatever end is intended to be achieved. But I cannot and shall not be able to support if really it is true, because again, Mr. Speaker, we need you maybe when we adjourn to have you come back and inform this House the status or the whereabouts of our colleagues. But injustice anywhere, Mr. Speaker, is a threat to justice everywhere. Mr. Speaker, like Martin Luther King Jr. said when he sent a letter from the Birmingham jail, that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe that it is important that our colleagues' whereabouts is established, so that if really they have been forcefully taken away, then that is problematic, as we cannot vote under threats or intimidation. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important that the House adjourns so that we get that solid information and then be able to proceed from there. So I support the motion to adjourn.
Okay, order, senators. I want to order. I want to seek your intelligence, because I can see the interests are so many. So and we generally seem to be saying more or less the same thing. So I want to call the two leaders to say something, and then after that we order members, so that then we are able to order members, so that we are able to take a vote, and then we have to follow the procedure. That's why I'm accusing me. Yeah. Okay. Order. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes each. Okay, Senator Kindiki. Senator Linturi. 3 minutes. Please time. Huh?
I rise to support this motion, but I want to take my time in emphasizing the role and the independence of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, when people turned out to vote for us in the last general election, what essentially that meant is that they ceded the authority and power to us to exercise it on their behalf. And where we are unable to, then the people can exercise that authority by themselves. Mr. Speaker, when you look...
Senator Kangata, honestly, this is not a market.
Mr. Speaker,
please.
When you look at the manner in which our constitution is arranged, Parliament comes before the national executive and before the judiciary. Because, Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that what we speak here, what we talk about here, are matters that concern our people and that affect our people directly, and because we have that authority, then we must be in a position to tell and to speak on behalf of the people. The duty of this authority of Parliament in exercising that power on behalf of the people, Mr. Speaker, and what Honorable Lelengwe, Malala, and the others are supposed to come to here to do, Mr. Speaker, is to make a decision on behalf of their people. When, Mr. Speaker, they are arrested on their way to Parliament, is telling Kenyans as the people, you people have no authority, you people have no voice. So, Mr. Speaker, the government that is listening to us today, let them know there are no situations that are permanent, Mr. Speaker. Let them know that you cannot subvert justice. Let them know the position that they want are supposed to be exercised for the good of the people of this republic. And, Mr. Speaker, it's not an opportunity for them to harass the people that they are supposed to be defending. Mr. Speaker, let me say this. There will come a time when those people that are doing what they are doing today will be the opposite side, and they will be told, one time remember, whatever you do, just like there's a saying in Wameru, that when you are digging pits, Mr. Speaker, dig small ones and the long ones, because you never know which ones that you fall in. So even as the police you are trying to exercise or abuse authority given to you, kindly know you are working against the will of your brothers and sisters, and Parliament must be left to make decisions for this country and on behalf of the people of Kenya. And it is painful to have a government that doesn't see or doesn't have the feeling of the people.
Okay, your time is up. Senator Kajwang from the other chamber.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this adjournment motion. Mr. Speaker, the safety, security, and welfare of a senator is not negotiable. Mr. Speaker, this House has been told that there are 3 senators who could be in trouble with the law or who could have been detained for various reasons. Mr. Speaker, the more we sit here and debate and make long speeches, if indeed it is true that their safety, their security, and their freedom is at stake, the more we stay here to debate, the more their security and freedom and health and safety will be at stake. Mr. Speaker, this is not a subject that should invite long speeches. This should not be a subject that should form a contest between Team Kenya and Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, this is not something that we are supposed to spend the whole day discussing. I want to beg, Mr. Speaker, that we bring this matter to a close and allow you, Mr. Speaker, as the guarantor of the security and freedom and privileges of this House, to go and establish the whereabouts and safety of our members. And we come back, say, at 2:30, and you tell us whether the members are safe, and if they are safe, we continue with the business. Mr. Speaker, we understand that these are unprecedented times. We are on a special sitting with a prescribed agenda, and we are required to confine ourselves to that agenda. Mr. Speaker, if the safety and welfare of any senator is threatened, then we can depart from the standing orders. Then we can allow ourselves some little time to allow you, Mr. Speaker, to guarantee the safety and security of those members. However, Mr. Speaker, I want to beg that this matter that has kept Kenyans glued to the Senate for the last 8 or 9 sessions, today is a day that we must conclude it. Today is a day that we must account for all the senators and conclude this matter. Mr. Speaker, I cannot assume that any senator who is not here because they've been detained. There are senators who might be absent by choice. But by 2:30, let us confirm that the senators who are absent by choice, or they are absent because they've been detained, so that we can agree on how to resolve this matter. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Rose Nyamunga.
Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, mine is very, very simple. And I would like this House to know that as this side of the divide, and as members of this nation and leaders of this country, we have been steady in our stand. The way we were then, we are to this day. The way we've been resilient then, we are still resilient today. The way we have been Democrats then, we are still Democrats today. And Mr. Speaker, I think it should be very clear to this House that incitement, drama, and colorlessness will never take this nation anywhere. We stood for the rights of Kenyans then, and we will stand for that right today. And we want to say it clearly, Mr. Speaker. We cannot sit here when we hear stories, and we don't want to rely on stories. Kindly adjourn this House. Let's find out the facts and come back to this House knowing the truth about all these things that we're hearing. Mr. Speaker, I think people have spoken, and we've seen colors. We've seen the way people behave in this House. We are not going to carry it beyond this. We need to go to the real cause why we should be here, and that is the revenue allocation. What we are treating ourselves to right now, those are other issues that we didn't even need to bring to this House. So, Mr. Speaker, kindly adjourn and let us find out facts about our colleagues, and let's move forward with the matters that are very important to this nation. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ndwiga from the other House.
Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion. And in supporting this motion, Mr. Speaker, when first I heard that members of this House have been arrested to bar them from coming to perform their duties. It made me very sad, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, those of us who remember the long days, the days before we changed this constitution, Mr. Speaker, there were times, and I was telling some members, there were times when we had to ferry members of parliament in the car boots, in our boots, in the boots of our car, Mr. Speaker. And today you are asking me, as a senator of the Republic of Kenya, to come here and to debate normally when the House is being, when the integrity of this House is being injured. Mr. Speaker, that's not possible. We must not allow that. Mr. Speaker, I vote for government, and everybody knows that. But what is happening today is so untidy. It's so dirty, Mr. Speaker. We cannot. Mr. Speaker, whatever we do here, first of all, we must defend the integrity of this House. All of us have been have been elected or nominated to come to this House to do specific things to defend the welfare and the just government of the people of this republic. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge to support the other members that let us adjourn. Let us adjourn. Let us find out where our members are. Let them be brought here to this House so that we see them as we debate. It does not matter, Mr. Speaker, decisions of debate in this House are made through the vote. And I said that last week. Whichever way the vote goes, let us respect that, Mr. Speaker. But if we have to persuade members to vote whichever way, let us do that through debates. Mr. Speaker, not through intimidation. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask you kindly adjourn these debates now, if need be, so that we do the necessary. And I thank you.
Senator Wambua.
Give the plaque.
Give him the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion to adjourn this House to establish the whereabouts of our colleagues. Mr. Speaker, in adjourning this debate, I am making a very specific request to the Speaker. That, Mr. Speaker, you make an order, not a request, an order, to the Inspector General of Police to produce Senator Malala, Senator Lagat, and Senator Lelegwe here in this House today. The Speaker, I make that plea because, the Speaker, you are our leader. The three senators who have been held incommunicado are your senators, Mr. Speaker. The safety of the three senators, Mr. Speaker, is your business. Where I come from, Mr. Speaker, we say, when you beat a child, they cry looking at the face of the father. These children, Mr. Speaker, these senators are looking at you. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be by coincidence that the three senators who have been held incommunicado belong to a certain persuasion on the matter of the division of revenue among the 47 counties. It cannot, Mr. Speaker, be a coincidence. Mr. Speaker, what is happening today, and I will say it as it is an attempt, a very archaic attempt, to rig the vote before it is taken. Mr. Speaker, it has been said many times that revolutions eat their children. The situation that we are facing today, Mr. Speaker, is that we have a government that is not just eating its children, but a government that has not seen any child that it does not want to eat, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this must be stopped. You must say no, Mr. Speaker. You must give direction, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of this House. That today, Mr. Speaker, let us finish debate on the matter of the sharing of revenue among the 47 counties today. We take the vote, Whichever way it goes, Mr. Speaker, we will live with it. But this idea, Mr. Speaker, that some senators could be prevented from coming here to express their views, they have become prisoners of conscience. That's what they are. They have taken a decision on how they want to vote, the people they want to associate with. They must be given a chance, an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to express that freedom, to enjoy that freedom. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, I support.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono wa kuahirisha mjadala huu kwa sababu ya wale maseneta ambao wameshikwa na maaskari, na hivi sasa Bwana Spika, hawa maseneta hao wako ndani na hako maaskari ambao wanawaangalia. Bwana Spika, cha kwanza naweza kusema Bwana Spika, wewe uko na mamlaka kisheria ya kwamba unaweza kumwambia Ntiambai pale hapo yule Inspector General ya kwamba alete wale maseneta watatu ndani ya hili bunge la Senate ili uweze kuwaona na macho yako na sisi pia tuweze kuwaona maseneta hao. Hivi sasa hatuwezi kujua hao maseneta wako wapi, lakini tuna imani ya kwamba Bwana Senator, maseneta hao
What's your point of order, Senator Bogisho? Order.
Speaker, it's not my intention to interrupt my good friend there. But can you observe, Mr. Speaker, that some people now are removing their masks to talk? And Mr. Speaker, we have said we speak with our masks on, Mr. Speaker. And so I just wanted to make that point.
Okay, Senator, put on your mask, please. Let's not remove our masks when we are talking.
Bwana Spika, mimi nataka kusema kwamba Bwana Spika, sisi tuko na historia kule pwani ya watu kupotea hapa. Kama vile Senator Mutula amesema, mzee Mutula Kilonzo alikuwa hapa na akapoteza maisha yake. Hatuwezi kujua alipoteza namna gani, na alikuwa mbunge, alikuwa senator. Vile vile kuna Ronald Gala alikufa kwa barabara, hatujui alikufa kwa sababu gani. Kuna Karisa Maitha alikufa pia, hatuwezi kujua alikufa kwa sababu gani. Hivi sasa maseneta watatu wameshikwa, hatuwezi kujua watapatikana Ngong ama watapatikana wapi. Tunataka kuona ya kwamba wewe umesimama kidete, umeweza kumwambia Ntiambai ama kumwambia mtu yoyote ambao anashika hao maseneta awalete hapa na uwaone. Sisi wote tukiwa hapa Bwana Spika, tuko chini yako na tunakuangalia wewe kama ngao yetu. Ni lazima uweze kuteta na sauti yako isikike. Saa hizi mimi niko na Attorney General Emeritus hapa aliyestaafu, mkuu wa sheria katika Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya kwa miaka 20, na hakutakuwa na mwingine ambaye atasafu katika miaka 20 kuliko Amos Wako. Amos Wako tulikuwa naye katika lile bunge lilokwisha, na aliweza kusema, ameweza kuniambia hapa ni kweli kabisa kwamba Ekwe Turo alisimama kidete na akasema haitaruhusiwa seneta yote kutishwa na askari wakiwa.
Your time is up. Order, senators. Order. Like I did say, there's a lot of interest and we really need to make progress so that we are able to get a way forward. So I seek your intelligence that I call the leader of majority and minority, then we take a vote. Senator Orengo. Order. Please, we have to make progress. Senator Orengo.
This my mouthpiece will be cleaned. I've seen the
Order, senators.
Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by saying this. In the year, or rather on the 1st of January, this year 1642, in England, King Charles I entered Parliament and demanded, the king entered Parliament with armed soldiers and demanded from the Speaker that 5 members of Parliament should be handed over to the king. and this was in company of 80 armed men. And Mr. Speaker, the Speaker reacted by saying, I have neither eyes to see nor a tongue to speak.
Let's consult in low tones. Order,
Mr.
senators.
Speaker,
Let's listen to Senator Orengo.
What I'm saying is really critical.
Order, senators. Whip.
Yeah.
Orders, please.
Senator Kangata, really. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is really important. And you have had a lot of people have cited my name here. And again today, I want to say I want to speak from my heart. The last time I spoke from my heart, I think some of my views were not taken into consideration. And I want to plead again that I want to speak from the heart. And I want to begin by talking about an incident. This is about the authority and integrity of Parliament. And I was saying in the year 1642, January, 1st of January, the King of England, King Charles I, did not just arrest members of Parliament. He entered Parliament, the floor of Parliament. He went through the door of Parliament and demanded of the Speaker to surrender 5 members of Parliament. And the Speaker, and that speaks to your position today. The Speaker said he has neither eyes to see nor a tongue to speak. And the men that you demand, because there were 5 members of Parliament, they were all men at that time, I do not see them because I have no eyes to see. So, because of the action of that particular Speaker in England in the year 1642, the question of privilege in Parliament became a tradition. In fact, as the King left Parliament, members of Parliament were shouting, privilege, privilege. And I've had members of Parliament referring to the question of privilege. And this is an important concept. And I just want us to think for a moment. Because here, even in this House, Senator Outa, the senator for Kisumu, was arrested in Kisumu and charged with an offense which went on for 3 years on account of the matter which was before this House. And the matter, nobody really talked about it. He continued to go to court, and we didn't stand by him. Senator Cherigai, the member for Nandi, senator for Nandi, was arrested in circumstances which I am convinced, in fact, I wanted to go to Nandi to appear for him. And it was not an arrest because he really had committed an offense. Because, if there was an offense, he would have been prosecuted and acquitted or convicted. So I want us, please, that as a matter of record, let us stand with each other all the time. All the time. Because there are other times that some people are arrested, including Senator Ledama. He was arrested here and taken to the police station here within the precincts of Parliament. In fact, I wonder why there's a police station at the precincts of Parliament whose duty, most of the time, they are dealing with members of Parliament. Senator Mutula here, I think you remember how many times we have gone to that police station when members have been called to give statements at that police station. I think that police station should be relocated. Yeah, it should be relocated. Because the presence of a police station here is inconsistent with the duties and work of Parliament. There was a time when a division of the army was here, occupying the corridor going to the National Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, as I speak here, I'm one of the people who has been arrested from the precincts of Parliament. Not once. I've been arrested twice from the precincts of this Parliament. Indeed, when I was arrested, members of Parliament fought very hard to make sure that I was not taken to any police station. There are members of Parliament who are hidden within this Parliament. That's when I knew there are rooms within this Parliament that the police even don't know. We hid Honorable Nyanja, George Nyanja, within the precincts of this Parliament for about a week, and the police could not trace him when they were looking for him. Yes, if you can remember Mungai, yes. And of course, you remember Martin Shkuku and Serone were taken from the belly of this house. They were not arrested, outside. They were arrested from this parliament. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander, that today it is these 3 senators, but tomorrow is likely to be James Orengo. In fact, when I was saying revolution, it's their own people. I was not excluding myself. I know that time will come, and I know how to deal with it. Me, I've prepared myself. When I'm arrested, I know exactly what to do. When I go to a police station, I know what to do. When I go to a cell, I know what to do. There was a time I was taken to Kodiaga prison when we were arrested on for the Sabasaba. And when I was delivered at Kodiaga prison, within 2 hours, I was snoring already, and the prisoners they were very offended that how can this man be sleeping? They took me out. Yeah? And it was good for me then. I was having some little sunshine. So, Mr. Speaker, what I would not agree with is that we have an open-ended adjournment. That shows that we are powerless. We cannot have an open-ended adjournment. It's like we have no power, we have no authority. In fact, what Eturo did was that there was an adjournment until the police withdrew from the precincts of Parliament. And then we came back. I would plead with you, Mr. Speaker, sir, to use the authority of this House that in the next 1 hour, the CS, Cabinet Secretary Interior, the PS Interior, the IG, the Attorney General, and the DCI should appear before the Security Committee of this House in the next 1 hour. No. That is now exercising authority. We cannot just be lamenting. And Mr. Speaker, then the Security Committee should report to us at 2:30. And of course, if there is no report to give because somebody has not turned up, then we know what to do. So, Mr. Speaker, and in saying that, I want to plead with the members of the Senate that as we deal with this problem, there was the special agenda for this special sitting. I think now that this is happening, we should go back into our conscience. As men and women who have been, we are very lucky, just 47 elected, and together with the special elected, we are 67, exercising sovereign authority of the people of Kenya about sharing resources. I think in this interlude, let us talk and reason together and come up with a solution. And it must be, a win-win means somebody wins, somebody loses. Or give and take. Somebody must give and somebody takes. And as you take, you must also give. So that we resolve the elephant in the room. But as to the question of the people being arrested, Mr. Speaker, if you are in a court of law, probably you would say, I'll give a ruling tomorrow. Please don't give a ruling tomorrow. No. You should give that ruling now. If it was a court, it will give the police probably 14 days for a mention of somebody to appear. But we are asking you that within the next hour, that committee should be sitting. Senator Haji is here. Please convene right now as we walk out, and then those deliberations will be reported to us. And some of us who are interested in this matter will come to the committee as friends of the committee to get to the bottom of this matter. Mr. Speaker, with that request, I support the motion. Thank you.
Senator Ledam, I'm told you have some special interest you want to express. Keep it brief, then we go to the leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, just in 3 minutes. In 1977, I believe it was August 18th, Steve Biko was arrested when he was leaving a political rally. And he said some very powerful words. He said, "I'm going to be me as I am, and you can beat me or jail me or even kill me, but I'm not going to be what you want me to be." Mr. Speaker, sir, those are very powerful words. And they remind me today of a young man, Senator Lelekwe, of a young man, Senator Malala, and my dear neighbor, who is currently in the police custody. In fact, as we sit here, Senator Langat has already surrendered himself to the police. A person who is elected to represent the interests of their people. And when it comes to something so emotive, instead of allowing wisdom or the power to convince, you are intimidated. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is very sad. We stand with our colleagues, and I want to appeal to the residents of Bomet, the residents of Samburu, and also the residents of Kakamega to stand with their leaders. Senator Orengo spoke here, and earlier on today, Mr. Speaker, sir, during those periods where I become very emotive, I tweeted, and I said something that I totally believe in it, that we are going back to the era of Moi. I was hoping that my colleague, Senator Gideon Moi, will be here so that I can tell him, my brother, you and I are young, let us not go back. Because what will happen is that we will look, people who have fought so hard, my dear brother, my dear, I call him my father.
What's your point of order, Senator Mwaura? There's a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is the order of this House that when the leader of minority speaks, it's only the leader of majority who responds. Now, Mr. Speaker, you said, let me finish. Mr. Speaker,
take your seat, Senator Ledama. Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, you say that there was something of special interest that Senator Ledama is supposed to converse of the floor of the House against the protocol, against the procedure. And from his prosecution, he is speaking like any other senator. Is he really not that to come in between the leader of minority and majority? Yet majority of us would have also wanted to contribute, but we respected your ruling, Mr. Speaker.
Order. That is my discretion as a speaker, and I've allowed him to speak. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to end by saying this. I tweeted and I said, because I want to put it in context. I have a lot of respect for my father, Senator Orengo, who has been a reformer. But if he stood today and supported what this government is doing, he will turn from being a reformer to an errand boy of a dictator. These are things which are very emotive and very personal. And I'll end with a quote from Steve Biko. Once again, he said, the most potent weapon of is the mind of the oppressed. Let us not sit here as honorable, distinguished members and see our colleagues suffer. Senator Lelekwe is a brother. Senator Langat is a brother. Senator Malala is a brother. And it doesn't matter whether we agree. We normally disagree here. But today, if I do not stand here and defend them, I will not have a face when I go back to my county. Speaker, sir.
What's your point of information, Senator Murkomen? You can speak from there.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform Senator Olekina that Senator Langat has just been arrested in his house in Embakasi, Nyayo Estate, in the presence of his lawyer, Nelson Harvey, who is also the president of the Law Society of Kenya, and is being brought to Nairobi area police station, so that also in this interlude period, some of us can be able to visit Senator Langat as we also wait for Senator Malala, who may be brought, and Senator Eleko is being taken to, Mr. Speaker, to Samburu. We only hope that he will not be blindfolded and thrown into a forest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, conclude, Senator.
Thank you, my brother, for informing me that. So, Speaker, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. And Senator Pogisio, my leader, and Senator Orengo, this is a time for you to show leadership in this House. I beg you to look back and show leadership. Revenue formula aside.
Senator Omanga, then Leader of Majority. Gender.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please protect me from the male members who are almost, they're making noise and I'm not able to. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion by Senator Cherargei that we adjourn this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would say is a sad day for Kenya today. Mr. Speaker, this is not the spirit of the 2010 Constitution which Kenyans voted for. Mr. Speaker, this is not the spirit of my government, the Jubilee government, which I've voted for 4 times. Mr. Speaker, as a mother and a wife, I don't want to imagine what the wives and children of these 3 senators are going through. Mr. Speaker, these senators are relatively young. I can imagine they've got very young children. Having over 40 DCI officers brandishing guns outside your house at 2 a.m. What kind of trauma would these children go through, and the kind of stigma? While, Mr. Speaker, we have Jack Ma donations being stolen at JKIA and no one has been arrested up to date. While we have the court ruling on the Ruaraka land saga, and we've not seen anyone arrested, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would say we cannot breathe. Mr. Speaker, these fraudsters, they are now coming to Parliament. If they can treat senators and members of Parliament like that, then what happens to the raia, the wananchi, the normal Kenyans, the poor Kenyans with no voice back in the villages? Mr. Speaker, we should shun this. Mr. Speaker, today you have to come out strongly and stand with your members in this House. We cannot continue with business as usual until the 3 senators appear in this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Leader of Majority.
Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in supporting the adjournment. Speaker, I just want to ask colleagues, when you use the opportunity that you have, Mr. Speaker, you can canvass exactly what you want as members of Parliament, but use language which is acceptable in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, this morning we have really overused or we've really overused language which is not really parliamentary. A lot of words that have been used today. And I think you can convince all of us through civil language. This is about numbers. This is about numbers on the vote. Mr. Speaker, if members wanted to speak and talk and help these people, we would have actually shortened this process and would have gone to the rescue of our colleagues. But the decision to continue talking until the end of time, Mr. Speaker, is also kind of indicative that some of us just want to do politics, Mr. Speaker. And I said, Mr. Speaker, there's a time when we have to be actually sincere with ourselves. Nobody would want another member of Parliament suffering. another senator suffering. No one. And we will not support. And we will try everything to make sure that our members are not arrested anyhowly. And even, Mr. Speaker, as the leader, I would be very concerned about members who are arrested. And you and I can work on that. But I just think that the opportunities given for us to speak would be better used if we canvassed properly, if we agreed to just not insult, not to call your government all sorts of names, and yet we know that we are going to the same government to ask to work with. So I'm just asking, Speaker, that as members, both sides of the House, this is basically what I want to leave the House with. As for the opportunity we have now to adjourn, within the few hours that are ahead of us, Speaker, we should be able then to get the details of what has happened to the three colleagues. We should be able to know what are the charges, and as a Speaker, where they are being. I know we have heard about one now, and so on. The reason being that we need to know that it's not related to their work in Parliament. It must be, Mr. Speaker, clear that because of this or that reason that would prevent them from coming to this House. And that's why we have lawyers, and colleagues who are lawyers can go and assist those whom they can assist, who can be assisted. And this House, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Cheriot?
Mr. Speaker, I hate to interrupt Senator Proceedings because he's our leader in this House, and therefore every time he speaks, it is expected of us to listen to him. But you can only reciprocate that respect if it serves it in the same portion to colleague senators. I find the remarks that he's making an insult to the intelligence of us as a Senate. Because, Mr. Speaker, when Senator Samson Cherargei spoke to seek this adjournment, he was very clear in his remarks that until our colleagues are produced and allowed to transact business in this House should adjourn. But you can see the cheeky nature of the remarks of the leader of majority, saying that all we need to do is just to find out if the arrest has nothing to do. Who in this country does not know that the reason these three senators are not here is because of how they were going to vote? Therefore, the leader of majority should respect our intelligence and do his duty dutifully. He should also remember, Mr. Speaker, that I was with Senator Langat.
We did agree that your point of order should be brief.
I was with Senator Langat until 5 in the morning. I do not want to reveal the things that the leader of majority was telling him, where he should go, what he should do. Out of respect as a brother, I cannot say it. Therefore, I find it very wrong for him to try and insinuate that we are just going on an exercise to find out how they are. That is not what we want to do. Until the three senators are here, no business goes on, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, leader of majority.
Mr. Speaker, I think, Mr. Speaker...
There's another point of order from Senator Kindiki. There's a point of order.
Let me respond to the other one.
Let him, you'll respond to both of them at a go. Order, leader of majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Senator for Kericho has made a very serious allegation against the leader of majority. Will I be in order, Mr. Speaker, to request you to direct the Senator for Kericho to tell us what the majority leader said about the three senators who are now facing threats, arrests, and intimidation.
Let the leader of majority respond first.
Speaker, I want this to look like it is clearly a choreographed thing that Senator Cheruyot wants to talk about. He can reveal what he wants to reveal, whatever it is, because even I did not sleep engaging with Senator Langat at night, because I wanted him to be set free, to be free, Mr. Speaker, because he also talked to me. He looked for me. He looked for me, and the best way for him was to be safe. And so, Mr. Speaker, I will say this. The Speaker, please let me finish my remarks.
Order, members. Order, members. Order,
Mr.
members.
Speaker.
Order, members.
Mr. Speaker,
Order.
Mr. Speaker, we have agreed on this
Let
matter.
the leader finish what he's saying. Order, then.
Mr. Speaker, we have agreed on this matter.
Order, members. We need to make progress. We need to get a way forward. So let him complete, then I give direction.
Mr. Speaker, we have all faced arrest. We have been arrested. I've been arrested. Everyone has been arrested, Mr. Speaker. As a member of Parliament, with the privilege, we have been arrested. But Mr. Speaker, today I want to conclude this way. Mr. Speaker, let's not allow.
What is your point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Asante bwana spika, asante kwa heshima bwana spika. Ikiwa wewe kama spika unaweza kutuheshimu na yule kiongozi walio wengi hawezi kutuheshimu, ni lazima endelee. Hii ni ukosefu wa heshima kwa kiongozi walio wengi. Bwana spika, amesema maneno, ndugu yetu Cheriot amesema maneno ya kutisha hapa, ya kwamba ikiwa ndugu yetu Langat ametishwa, lazima aweze kusema, apewe nafasi aseme vile ambavyo ametishwa ama vile ambavyo ameambiwa. Bwana spika, tunangoja uamuzi wako.
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, it's not only Senator Cheriot who, Mr. Speaker, is privy to the conversation of the majority leader with Senator Langat. I am also privy to that conversation. And I am in possession, Mr. Speaker, of documented evidence of his conversation with Senator Langat. The thing, Mr. Speaker, I want to say is that we are not discussing the majority leader now. What we are discussing is a situation that involves our three colleagues. We don't want, and I don't think Senator Cheriot was saying that so that we bring a motion to discuss the majority leader. What we are interested in is the majority leader to, Mr. Speaker, demonstrate leadership by demonstrating, Mr. Speaker, that he is pained at heart when the Senator of Bomet, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Malala and Senator Lelekwe, two of whom, of the three senators, Mr. Speaker, come from the majority side. Mr. Speaker, can the majority leader absorb, Mr. Speaker, demonstrate and reflect the image of a leader who feels the pain of his colleagues that are going through trouble, Mr. Speaker, and not to pussyfoot around this issue?
What's your point of order, Senator Wamatangi? Just a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you have made a decision, Mr. Speaker. You give a ruling, Mr. Speaker, and in allowing the majority leader to respond, you did so that what the motion sought first, which is to ensure that this House, with all the directions that have been given and the proposals, that we get to find out precisely what has happened to members of this House, Mr. Speaker. And that now is the mood of the House. That is what we must do within the next 1 hour as agreed, Mr. Speaker. Now, if Mr. Speaker, you allow that other matters be introduced, and all of us are clear in our minds, Mr. Speaker, parliamentary democracy is underpinned in the words of Voltaire, that I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to death your right to say it.
What's your point of order?
That is clear to all of us, Mr. Speaker. If we do not allow the majority leader to finish what he's saying, and then we embark on what we have to do, as you directed, Mr. Speaker, then all of us who come up with other points of orders, we have other issues we can also raise. Mr. Speaker, I'm in possession of SMSs also to other people. What we are saying, let us not bring extraneous matters. Let's get the majority leader to close and
majority leader,
get to the
majority leader conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now in relation to the so-called information that people are privy to, Mr. Speaker, I have said it is good if all the information that we are all privy to can be put here at the table for everyone, because everybody has communicated, and there is enough information for everyone to share. And Mr. Speaker, this idea of trying to intimidate other speakers, trying to use this kind of intimidation, what kind of mind would I be playing with Honorable Cheriot? What intelligence am I playing with, Mr. Speaker? I think we are all colleagues here. The qualification of being here is just to be elected and come here. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to caution my young friend that getting overzealous, I don't think anybody would love the other senator more than all of us. We are concerned. We want the same concern to be overall here in this House, Mr. Speaker. Though we go with one mind, we go to this recess all knowing that what we want is that our people, our members, are not intimidated. There is, as I said, Mr. Speaker, the freedom to speak. But I also said, as I cautioned members, that we speak a language that can convince others. Not to harass anybody, don't look like more people have more rights than others in this House. And so, Mr. Speaker, we adjourn and we take time. We come back at 2:30 and continue with our duty. Mr. Speaker, we have a very, very important duty to do. The duty also of passing the formula. So we need to get this sorted out. As important that you have responsibility as Speaker, there's much that Speaker can do within your powers. There is much that I can do within my powers to make sure that we do not get people arrested and anyhowly, but also, Mr. Speaker, let's agree that we come back and proceed with our business. With those remarks, Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Okay, order, members. I have listened to all of you. You have raised very serious concerns about our colleagues who are not here. And I want to agree, I'm a servant of this House. Being the whole House, I'm a servant of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. And when one of us is mistreated or is in the circumstances that our colleagues find in, we must stand together as a team. Therefore, I'm directing the chair of the Security Committee to convene immediately after this and get all concerned parties to give us information on the whereabouts of the 3 senators and report back at 2:30 the progress of where our colleagues are. I now put the question, which is that the debate be now adjourned. As men are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As men are of the contrary view, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, the House stands adjourned up to 2:30.